In this video, I'm going to demonstrate step by step how I connected the Dronetag BS onto my Pavo20 Pro and how I show the GPS coordinates on my Radiomaster Boxer remote control. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to Alan Gadgets. I've done the review on the BS and the BS combo in my previous video. If you are interested in that review and unboxing video, I'll leave the link in the description below and the link somewhere there on the top left corner. But today I'm going to demonstrate how I hook it up to my Pavo20 Pro and also at the same time showing the telemetry of the GPS coordinate on the Radiomaster Boxer RC. Let's go through briefly the list of components that you can find in either the BS or the BS combo. First off, you have the Drontag BS itself, the remote ID and GPS module, the heat shrink that offers minimum protection to the module, a 4-pin cable and a 3-pin cable, the Bluetooth antenna for the remote ID and the GPS antenna casing of different size. The one in combo has a slot for the LiPo battery, the LiPo battery to power up the module independently, and lastly you have the charger for the LiPo battery. The first setup is the easiest and the most straightforward. Basically, you just power the module with the LiPo battery. So in this case, you'll be using the module independently, just making use of its broadcast remote ID, and you're not going to tap on the GPS data onto the flight controller. The second way to use it is to power up the module with your flight controller, making use of the remote ID broadcasting but not tapping on the GPS data. In this case, you only need to use the 3-pin wire. The third way to use it is still powering from the LiPo battery, but at the same time you would like to tap on the GPS data. In this case, you will need to make use of the 4-pin cable, but you would need to remove the red wire because that's the wire that is supposed to tap the power from the flight controller. But since you already plug in the LiPo battery, you have no need for that. The fourth way of using the BS is to have everything connected to the flight controller, meaning that you power the module with the flight controller and also tapping the GPS data. So for this method, you will just need to use the 4-pin cable for all its 4 wires. Before we jump into the demonstration, if this is your first time on my channel and you like all things drone cameras and gadgets, to consider subscribing to my channel and click on the bell button for future notification. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. I'm demonstrating the flight controller that came with my Pavo20 Pro. So for any other drone's flight controller, you will need to study the wiring diagram on which port to use. In this case, I'm tapping on the T1 and R1 that correspond with UART1. So after all the soldering, I'm ready to find a place to mount the module on my Pavo20 Pro and then just plug in the cable and power it up. The orientation of the antenna is not really crucial, just 3 points to take note of. Putting them in perpendicular angle is the optimum position, but it's optional. Make sure that the 2 antenna does not come into contact with one another or any other antenna in that matters. And on that note, keep the module as far away as you could, away from the VTX antenna and the ERRS antenna. Now to set up the flight controller to make use of the GPS data, we first go to the BetaFlight Configurator. After the settings has been done, you should see a list of grey bars below, even when no satellites are locked. Now you can go over to the OSD tab and choose all the information that you want to be shown on the goggles that regards to the GPS. And since now I have the GPS data on my fingertips, I would also want it to work with my remote control. I would just like to have an audible notification that the GPS locked, and at the same time maybe have a screen displaying GPS coordinate of the drone in case there is a crash somewhere that I need to find it. I can just use the GPS to find my drone using Google Maps. For that to happen, we go back to our BetaFlight Configurator and enable the telemetry output under the receiver tab. So the first thing to do is to power your drone. You can just use the USB cable from the BetaFlight Configurator. You do not need the LiPo battery in this case.
Autobots, transform and roll out!
So now we head up to the logical switches. For logic 1, I set up to check if there is more than 2 satellites that is being locked on, meaning 3 or above. This is because a minimum of 3 satellites to triangulate 2D position. And for logic 2, I check if the satellite is less than 3. So now we head over to the special functions to make use of the logical switch that we have just set up to sound out an audio file, basically a wave file in this case. When logic 1 is true, it will play a track. So the file I choose in this case is a satellite lock wave file. And if logic 2 is true, I will play the wave file for satellite loss. This is my own custom wave file that I copied into the Boxer. So you can use any file, any wave file that you want, but always remember to set the last parameter an exclamation mark. The last thing to set up is to show the GPS coordinates on the screen. I set up 2 examples. First one using the standard telemetry screen of Boxer. So just make use of the number display and just put in the parameter for satellites and GPS. The other example that I'm showing here is using the Lua script. For this I set up the second screen to run a script. The guide to setting up this script to run on your Boxer will be linked in the description below. If instead of a coordinate you show a random integer anywhere from 2 to 4 digits, what you need to do is after setting up all this telemetry screen parameter, go outside, get a 3D fix on the drone, and you rerun the discover new sensor after you get a fix. So that's it, that's the tutorial I have on how to connect the BS onto my Pavo20 Pro and how to display the information of the GPS on my OSD in the goggles, and lastly also how to display them on my Radiomaster Boxer remote control. If you find this video beneficial or helpful in any way, do click on the like button and share. Again, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do consider subscribing it and click on the bell button for future video. And for that, I'll see you again in the next one. Bye!